Now, Joe Siracusa is an author and professor of security and diplomacy at Curtin University. He joins us now live from Melbourne. Thank you very much, Professor, for joining us here on TRT World. Now, if the threat of a Russian invasion of Ukraine is so imminent, then why is the U.S. not doing anything about it?
Well, pleasure to be here. They're not doing anything about it because they've already telegraphed their position. Biden has made it very clear that he is not going to he's not going to fight with Russia over Ukraine. NATO's made it very clear it's not going to fight for Ukraine. And so Vladimir Putin knows that there will be no opposition to his ability to apply force, which he is expected to do in the next couple of days. Keep in mind, the United States will tomorrow morning tell the U.S. Embassy to close down, which is the universal symbol to everybody that war is imminent. The President of the United States will have one more conversation with Putin, but Putin has clearly decided to use force, and the international community is not going to be helping Ukraine directly. Those troops that have been sent to Poland and other places are to deal with the overflow or the spillover of the conflict. We're going to have two days maybe of shelling with artillery and air power and rockets, and we're going to have various cyber warfare followed by an invasion. So I think Putin is going to make good on his pledge to make sure that there are no first strike weapons in this part of the world and that NATO does not come into Ukraine. Keep in mind that when the Cold War was over, President Mitterrand of France said that NATO had come to an end. And we know from Gorbachev that he thought he was betrayed on the extension. So, you know, in a way, the Russians have a legitimate complaint. Do they have the right to kill 30 to 50,000 people? No, but it is certainly their intention.
Does NATO pose a threat to Russia?
Yes, sir, it does. NATO only had one purpose in life when it was created in 1949, and that was to contain the Soviet Union. And when the Soviet Union disappeared in 1991, there was no reason on earth for the expansion of NATO, but it continued to expand. George Bush brought in a bunch of countries as a favor to them supporting him. So,
Professor, if I may interject here now, as you say, NATO does pose a threat to Russia. Now, if the idea is to de-escalate tensions in the region, then why is President Joe Biden sending more military reinforcements to NATO?
Well, he's sending forces to NATO to deal with the overflow, with the refugees, or maybe the 30,000 Americans who will make their way to places like Poland. He's going to deal with the overflow.
So it's not for the protection of Ukraine?
Oh, no, sir. There's going to be no, Ukraine is on its own right here. Now, look, during the Cuban Missile Crisis, which was worse than this, President Kennedy and Nikita Khrushchev agreed at the last minute to take the invasion off the table in exchange for removing missiles. Joe Biden can do this on tomorrow morning if he wants to. He can just simply assure Putin that this is not going to happen. But he doesn't want to do it. He can't do it for some reason. And so the conflict is going to take place. I think this conflict is unnecessary. It's tragic. And it's a failure of American diplomacy, so far as I can tell.
All right, Professor Joe Siracusa, it's always a pleasure, sir. Thank you very much for talking to us here on TRT World.
Thank you.